Oh, it's time. Time to get radical.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Radical Comment of the Week for September 8th through the 14th. These are the very best comments from that time period. The three honorable mentions go to Scary Jersey Guy, Rusty Shackelford, and ST. The bronze medal is going to come to us from Destroyer of Heroes. Look, I have quite a bit of insight to share on this subject, and I'm saying all this because I think people are just really missing the legal aspects of all this. First of all, most companies will be perfectly fine with fan films or tributes if you don't make money off of it. It would be like free advertising for them, and also, since it wouldn't be actually taking money from the rights owner, there's generally no legal issues to be pursued. George Lucas was always open to fan films and tributes to Star Wars, but he would be quick to go after people profiting off his toys in any form via bootlegging or infringing on his IP on any level. That's because part of the deal he made with Star Wars was he'd take a smaller cut from the actual film so that he could have control of the toys. He made insane amounts of cash thanks to this decision. So, if the guy who made the DBZ fan film took out a loan from the bank to do it, that wouldn't work. He'd just lose all the money since he cannot profit off of someone else's intellectual property. The idea behind doing things like this is that it's paid for by the public and then released to the public for free. Sure, there are people out there that may feel that the artist deserves to get paid for his work, but according to the law, he could be sued by the rights owners. This is where the issue where Patreon comes into play. The big name YouTubers pull in thousands upon thousands of dollars through Patreon and defend it so vehemently, all claim that it's a tip jar. This means that there is no standard to uphold and is essentially an illegal way of working around things like copyrights and other various legal claims. So if this guy making these DBZ videos gets 20K in Patreon tips to make a 1K movie, then he's clearly getting paid for making a DBZ movie without owning the official rights to do so. Things like this could easily come back to bite somebody who's doing this type of thing. I mean, imagine if fans go crazy and sink 200K more than the movie costs to make. You don't think legal teams would be snooping around on something like that? Trust me, if you make enough money off of these things and it gets the attention of the rights owners, they will come after you. If you're small time, it's not worth their effort. You'll just get a cease and desist email from their legal team. If you make a ton of money off of their stuff, they will pursue legal action and it will be an easy payday for them. The laws are quite specific on this, and there is a rich history of this within the world of anime itself. Just look at a few of the cases involving Robotech and Transformers, pure insanity. Yeah, this was in reference to a DBZ film. I forget what it's called, DBZ Legacy, I'm not sure. A very, very well done film. And the thing is, it's the Dragon Ball characters. It is the Dragon Ball characters. There's Vegeta, there's Goku, there's Gohan, there's Piccolo. It's the Dragon Ball characters. And it's a it's a fan film project. But the thing is, a lot of that was supported with Patreon money. So it's a tip jar, but I'm just really curious, and it's a fascinating discussion around at what point does it become, like, can you actually be taken to court for making all this money on your Patreon tip jar, even though it's not direct payments? There's got to be some way that you can legally hold these people responsible because, it's a tip jar, but we're talking about several thousands of dollars that this person was getting on Patreon for making these films. And if the film, cost, let's say $1,000 to put together and they get 20K, then believe me, at some point, the rights holders of Dragon Ball Z will come for this person. It's just a eventuality. And you talked about Star Wars and everything like that. Yeah, the amount of money made on those toys was immense. So there's a fight on rights many of the times. And, it's really ultimately, like you said, all about money. If it's small time, if it's somebody making counterfeit Star Wars toys and they're really not making that much money, then it's not worth the time to legally pursue it. But If they start selling a lot of toys and it starts rivaling maybe, the regular Star Wars toys, then yeah, that's an easy payday in court. But really, really fascinating discussion here around this. And just in general, you can look at that as Nintendo also. Nintendo has shut down a lot of fan projects, fan games, and they weren't even making money on the games. So it just depends on the publisher, just depends on the companies also, how stringent they're going to be. Some people might say, if a person's really not making a dime, not making a dollar off of the fan projects, then, where do the rights holders really, kind of get off on it? And then sometimes, if there's a fan project, sometimes the actual rights holders will be 100% behind it because they just don't want the bad look of going after the fans, essentially. Thank you, Destroyer of Heroes. The silver medal is going to come to us from Video Game Vegas. Rick, I think Nintendo is limiting the time you can buy this, the Super Mario 3D All-Stars game, because they simply want you to pay full price, digitally or physically. If you only have a limited time to buy it, then you'll have to pay what Nintendo wants, or miss out. As for, will all 3 games come on the cart? I think they will. But I can see also them pulling something like what Activision did with Spyro Trilogy. Spyro Trilogy only had the first game on the cartridge and you had to download the rest. This happened on the other consoles as well, so space wasn't an issue. This tactic makes it so you can never really own the full game physically, while also taking a swing at the used game market. Releasing a game incomplete, or in some cases broken, has been going on for years. A lot of games now, you need some kind of patch to even experience the game in full working state. It just makes owning a physical copy even harder. If a company decides to shutter servers that have day one patches or that include additional download-only games, then you're out of luck. In time, game publishers hope buying used games will become less desirable as you may not be able to play them without required online content, which companies have control of. This then opens a door for them to re-release the game so they can make money on it again. And speaking quickly on shuttering game servers when it comes to Nintendo and them reselling their games, one has to only look at the shuttering digital game stores on the Wii and Wii U. If you want to play the digital NES and SNES games you already purchased in the Wii or the Wii U shop on your Switch, you'll have to buy them again on the new Switch digital store. They don't transfer over. We're talking digital ROMs that could have been tracked online with an account like Steam does. How many times does one have to buy Super Mario Bros. Before they just own it? Nintendo's business practices leave a lot to be desired, my opinion of course. Video Game Vegas. Nintendo has some of the worst business practices of all the big three. But you know what? They can kind of get away with it because they've got really good games. They got the Marios, they got the Zeldas, they got the Metros. Metros? They got the Metroids. They can get away with it for the most part. And believe it or not, there's people that actually defended what they did with Super Mario 3D All-Stars. But most people were rightly calling it out as bullshit. I think it's bullshit that price. $60? $60 for 2 ancient ass and, another game, but 2 ancient ass Super Mario Sunshine and Super Mario 64. For fuck's sake. That's an ancient ass game. Oh, it's shinier, but it's an ancient game. And we're talking early 3D games. I mean, do you really think, does Nintendo really think that they can get, yeah, they can. They can get whatever they want from these Nintendo fanboys and fangirls. They can get whatever they want. So until people stop, buying this shit for $60 at full price on day one to get it limited and hold back, then they will feel emboldened. And you're talking about how there's a lot of games that they release incomplete and they require the day one patches. There is no such thing as a physical copy of Cyberpunk 2077. There is not. You fooling yourself. You're fooling yourself. There's no such thing because it requires a day one patch and probably a day 2 patch and probably a day 3 patch. And it still don't fucking work. These games get released incomplete and broken. We will look back fondly on the days of, Assassin's Creed Infinity broken. Okay, that's pretty not bad broken. We look back fondly on that shit. But, as deadlines get closer and closer, and they delay, but then they do scrunch, whatever it's called, and everything. That's going to be a standard going forward. Broken games. And talking about, that shocked me about the ROMs not going over to accounts. You mean to tell me, like, you can tell I don't have a Nintendo console right now. You can tell, you can't be serious that if you buy Super Mario Brothers on a Switch and the new Switch in the future comes out, the Switchblade or whatever the fuck it's going to be called, Switch number 2, are you telling me Nintendo's going to charge you to buy that game again? Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. It should transfer. Okay? They should follow the model of the Xbox console, which is doing it great, by the way. Generations transferring through generations. Doing it just like Xbox. And regardless of how you feel about Xbox, that's one thing they're really knocking out of the park when it comes to helping the customers out. Backward compatibility. It's a great thing, Thank you, video. That is going to come to us from Taurus X Bis. I'm also not a fan of Twitch people that incentivize donating with huge donate buttons, donate progress bars, stuff that pops up in the middle of the video when someone donates, etc. It's really irritating and distracts from the video. But if there's one person on the whole of streaming that I don't associate with that, it would be Silent Rob. He's one of the extremely few that doesn't bother viewers with the donations. He never even asks for them. He only thanks people that do, which is normal. He still reads plenty of comments from other people. A lot of streamers barely interact with the chat, definitely not the case for Silent Rob. There's a difference between e-begging and simply accepting donations from people who want to donate by their own initiative and thanking them for their generosity. And to reply, to the point you make in the video, why should Silent Rob deserve any donation for such a small time investment on his part? Why should he deserve money just for talking about things? Well, to the point, I don't know how much free time you get, but I can tell you that even 2 hours, look at how many live streams he's doing and how long they can be a huge chunk of one's free time. And to the second point, I think you're viewing the problem backwards. It's not there are donations, where did they come from? Because of someone simply talking, it's people are being entertained a lot, therefore they want to donate because they had a good time. It's as simple as that. And you're absolutely right when you say that you feel that Rob should be one of the few people that don't fully take advantage of this donating system. You're right, because he doesn't. I'm not sure how familiar you are with that, but just go onto Twitch and look at some big streamers for 10 minutes. Then go back to Silent Rob's stream and you'll see that he's just as old school as you think he can be. Lastly, you make a final point that donating feels stupid to you. Well, that's fine, and I can respect that. For you, accepting a donation from someone doesn't feel right. But just because it doesn't feel right to you doesn't mean it doesn't feel right to everyone else in the world. To the people who donate to Silent Rob, on the contrary, it feels right to them to do it. Who are you to tell them it shouldn't feel right? Not to mention, Silent Rob uses the money and puts it back into the stream. He buys games with it, and then stream the games he bought. He buys equipment for his stream, and now is able to stream PC games. So ultimately, everyone is happy. The donators, the viewers, Silent Rob, no e-begging has been done. Simply some donations accepted and thanked. A very well put comment, That's a great comment. That is a gold medal comment. This one and the previous one, two people I definitely didn't agree with. There's a lot of things I don't agree with in this comment, but just like the other one, I can't take the shine off this gold medal. So I see things from a variety of different perspectives. I'm able to do that. I passionately feel one way, and a lot of people feel that one way. It's that we YouTubers should not take donations from our audience. But I understand it's not the only way of feeling. I just feel really strongly that way. I never would take donations from the people that come here, And I get it. I understand it. But let's talk about something for a second. Towards the end of your comment, you said that no e-begging has been done, right? Let me ask you something, Taurus X Bis. Let's say two people stop by the streams of DSP Gaming and Silent Rob. They would probably notice some differences. Maybe one of them was wearing maybe a vest, maybe a vest. And one of them would be, I think, hands down, is universally seen as probably the biggest e-beggar on YouTube. I mean, when you get onto Twitch and everything and some of the thoughts and all that kind of stuff, there's different levels to it. But to an unsuspecting person that had never seen this before, if somebody saw DSP Gaming get a $100 donation playing a video game, and then they saw Silent Rob get a $100 donation playing a video game, what argument could you make for DSP being an e-beggar? Because the lines would blur, wouldn't they? Right? The lines would blur. Now, I think it comes down to really what people consider e-begging. I think it's the ask, which is the enabling. The enabling to me is the ask. The donate button is the ask. You're asking people for money. You're begging people electronically online for money because you have it available. So it's fair to say that that is e-begging, right? But there's different levels to it. I think we all can agree that Silent Rob is indeed definitely an e-beggar. If the standard is taking and accepting donations online is e-begging. Not everyone has that view. I have that view. A lot of people have that view. And through this channel, many ways I try to push that view to other people. And then I open eyes because they realize, like, you know what? Yeah, it makes sense now. It makes sense. Sometimes it comes down to who you like and who you dislike. There's a lot of people out there that like Silent Rob and dislike DSP. So they're going to say, you know what? I like Rob. He's not any beggar. I like Rob. Literally, Taurus X Biss. People stopped by from his channel and they told me, believe it or not, they said, Silent Rob is not an e-beggar. He's a cool dude. He's a good guy. What the fuck does that have to do with e-begging?